Now we are going to present Rick Davis. He is going to do CMA for ROI. And basically this class is going to teach you how to use metrics to find investment properties using the MLS for free. You guys get it? So through that process, Rick is going to teach you how to use all these tools that we realtors have and how to create searches and hot sheets so we find investment properties, correct? We actually created this class. It's called CMA for ROI, and we created this class because we wanted to teach you how to find those properties and to teach you and to see how difficult it is to use the MLS. We can do it for free because we are already paying it, but we need to put the work, correct? We are with MLS Deal Finder and Fast CMA. MLS Deal Finder is a technology that actually do the work for you. It's an automation technology. It does automated CMAs, it does analytics, and it goes there and does all the work for you that you need to do when you are doing CMAs. So you have in your table this page, that is a Fast CMA page and MLS Deal Finder page. At the end of the session, you're going to have the opportunity to go ahead and sign up for one of these products. Fast CMA allows you to do CMAs of any off-market property, and MLS Deal Finder find the properties for you. Rick Davis is our Director of Education. He's a really good person to listen to. He's a lot of fun. So please, Rick, go ahead and do your presentation.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. So, oh, okay, well, don't believe the hype, or hopefully I'll live up to it. So, to kind of sum up what Juan Carlos was saying, I am a CE instructor. I also have a mortgage license and a real estate license, and I teach RPR for TAR, amongst other things. And here locally for Ebby Halliday, internally, I'm their Google instructor. So, what I'm going to endeavor to do today is actually, essentially teach you what that software, what the Deal Finder software does from scratch. How to actually do it with the tools that we actually get by way of paying our MLS dues. And so, CMA for ROI, our objectives, okay, why is it not wanting to? Hold please. And there we go. So our objectives are actually going to be to actually use the analytics and who in here is familiar with RPR, Realtors Property Resource? Okay, so we'll also consider this a little bit of an awareness campaign for our RPR, which is actually an NAR-owned, it's a wholly owned subsidiary of NAR. And what it is, in a nutshell, is MLS data ported through the RPR portal that is also mobile and cloud-based. So we have access technically to any participating MLS across the country, but we're going to focus on here, live and local. What else we're going to do is actually look for potential ROI based on the analytics from RPR. Then we're actually going to pull properties out of Matrix, look at them, who in here is familiar with Cloud CMA? Okay, a little bit better. It's been around longer. I also teach that. And then we're actually going to looking at pulling comps into Cloud CMA. So at the end of the day, we can actually calculate the difference between what we're looking at, a floor and a ceiling as far as a neighborhood goes, and kind of getting an idea of the comps. So first up is the realtor tools that we're going to use, which is RPR. And again, RPR is a member-owned benefit. So to go and set yourself up a profile, you will need your NERDS number because it is realtor only. One of the things that is unlike the larger brokerages that have the consumer-facing apps and the consumer-facing portals where you track, this is actually realtor only, so you have the data until you decide to actually share it with somebody else. And this is what we're going to be looking at, and I'll do it live based on today's activity. So that way we're kind of pulling from the oven fresh data. We're going to use the analytics to determine essentially what we're going to look for in Matrix. So we're going to use one tool to actually cut to the chase and give us a floor and a ceiling for square footage price based on actual market data. It's usually a 6-month look back in total, but it'll actually update monthly. So we'll get a new month's worth of data. Then we're actually going to pull the listings. Then we're going to import the ARV comps into Cloud CMA. We probably won't get the time to actually do the adjustments, and that's always a little bit of a subjective thing for individuals. So we'll actually just kind of go through the mechanics, and I can answer any questions afterwards once we're out at the table. But here's some of the comp selections that we're going to use as a rule of thumb. We're going to try to keep it within a half mile, and we're going to try to keep it 90 days to 6 months. Essentially, we're going to always stay under the Fannie Mae uniform guide for appraisals, where it's essentially they want it under a mile and under a year. But we want to keep it as close to recent history as humanly possible. And a good rule of thumb is as long as we have 3 comps, we're in a good mindset to actually, in a good place to actually start crunching some numbers. Then we're going to do a couple of things here. We'll calculate the purchase price versus the ARV, and we'll look at the 70% rule. So just as an outline, if it was listed for 53, you anticipate the ARV to be $100,000. The 70% rule would say the 70% is 70,000. If your repairs are calculated at 20 grand, then your offer would be in the $50,000 vicinity. And so, let's actually go live. So I'm going to start here on the Netris portal, and you can see down here, this is the actual RPR icon. It's kind of below that Mason-Dixon line that nobody ever goes underneath. So we'll use that, and now because I've actually created a profile and I've signed up, it will automatically bounce me to the landing page. And just for the sake of illustration, I'm going to use Mesquite as sort of our target area. A lot of older neighborhoods, a lot of potential buy and flip or buy and hold in Mesquite. And there's a lot of tear downs and rebuilds as well. So what I'm going to do here, once I'm on the landing page, is I'm going to look at market activity, and I'm just going to use the zip code of 75149. And it's automatically, it's got predictive analytics, so it's going to want to fill in the blanks for me, whether it's an address, a zip code, or a county. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to have it here. I can actually select, do I want to show changes in the last 3 months, changes in the last week, days, or the last month? We're going to keep it month over month. So I'm going to hit this. So is everybody with me so far? Where I've gone from the Matrix dashboard just into RPR Live. And for you guys that haven't set up a profile yet, you'll actually need your NERDS number, and it will prompt you to actually create the profile. And for those of you that don't know how to get your NERDS number or don't have it memorized, which I don't, and they no longer put it on, I get the Realtor magazine electronically, so I don't get the mailing label anymore. So did anybody ever get the Realtor card, the ID card? I never got one. Okay, so 2 people. All you have to do is do a Matrix agent lookup under your own name. And it'll actually come up as NARID inside of Matrix, and that's your NERDS number, and that will allow you to create the profile. So here, now I'm looking at market updates for Mesquite, Texas, 148 properties. I can essentially look over here on this column, and I can drill down if I want. But really all I want to do is create a report. Because one of the things about RPR that is fabulous is the action.
Nice crazy.
That was interesting. We won't make you donate the tree pack. Normally that's the rule. It's a $35 tree pack. I'm a major investor, and I was just in Austin 2 weeks ago for the big hullabaloo for the tree pack. 4.75 million raised in Texas last year was insane. So I won't hold you to that though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a report. I'm just going to click up here, and you're going to see there's a grocery list of different reports that I can actually look at, whether I'm looking at individual properties, whether I'm looking at sellers reports. One of the things with RPR is I encourage everybody to fill out the profile completely. So if you have logos, if you have icons, if you have anything of that nature, fill out everything. Consistency of message is huge in the electronic world. So for example, the photos that come out on my actual reports, same photo that's in my email signature, same photo that's on my LinkedIn, same photo that's on my Facebook, the whole 9 yards. So there's no confusion as to where it's coming from. But what I'm going to do is a neighborhood report right here. And when I click on that, it'll actually give me options of what do I want to look at. Well, let's just look at everything. So then all I have to do now is I scroll down to the bottom, run the report. It's going to take a couple minutes, and we're VGA connected, so you won't hear the sound, but it does ring a doorbell every time the report finishes, and there's no way to turn it off, and the dogs will bark, and it will freak you out. So then when it's done, oh, that was fast, actually. Oh, no, here it is. Okay, so we can see that it's in the oven baking over here on the left-hand side, right here. And then when I download this, it's going to give us the statistical breakdown, the little clip that I had in the slide. It's going to give us the analytics to where, and the great thing about this is it's MLS data. So everything in RPR, because it is owned by NAR, it's Realtor owned and operated, so it is live MLS data. Kind of wanted to show this in real time. Now maybe, well, just in case, I actually made one already. So this is what the report looks like here. And again, it's brandable. So if you want to sign up for RPR and you can get my card, I'll hook you up with the broker tools. So you can actually have your brokerage and how many independent brokers here? Excellent. Also want to give you my card because there are 2 independent broker groups that I'm part of, which you might be interested in. One that I met this lady over here at just a week or so ago. So now this is my neighborhood report. Again, branded at the top, consistency of message here. You'll notice that's my mortgage guy haircut right there. This is my was gonna do locks of love haircut thing that I got working. However, if you got more than 5% gray hair, they won't take your hair. So now I'm just keeping it because I'm closer to 50 than I am 40, and I still have most of my hair, so I'm keeping it as long as humanly possible. But again, brandable, and whenever you send these out electronically, whatever device you're on, it's responsive. So if I send this on my phone in a text message, phone numbers are live. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody can actually get it on the other end, touch the number, and call me with just their thumb. So now let's get into the actual analytics. It's going to give us some stats and charts right out of the gate. And so it's going to give us median values. It's also going to bounce it against Dallas County proper, Texas, and the rest of the United States. It's going to give us the median sales price versus volume. And we're trending, we have a little dip here, but now we're trending back up. One of the things is RPR is, and by extension NAR, is very big on the old show your work principle. So they will actually source their data, and they will tell you the frequency on how often it updates. So as we scroll down, here's what we're going to start looking for. I'm going to look at the ceiling and the floor. Okay, so we got a lot under 60 grand and a handful over 120. So now we're getting into kind of the meat and taters, and here we go with our square footage prices. So we've got one all the way down to $20, between 20 and 30, but we've also got, like here, we've got, what is that? So from 20 to, let's say 60, we've got 10, 12, 13 properties. So, and that's MLS data, we're licensed because Netris was actually the last of the top 10 MLS boards in the country to come on with RPR. Technically, RPR was actually turned on for us probably 4 years ago, but if you would have logged in, all you would have gotten is public data because Netris didn't allow. Lots of behind the curtains political stuff as far as the non-disclosure state. So they finally hammered it out and it went live basically at the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, which is when the MLS director at Metrotex actually recruited me to go do the train the trainer training. Yeah, that's right, train the trainer training. And so I've been everywhere from Abilene to Wichita Falls and all points in between for TAR, teaching this stuff. But in this case, now all we're doing is we're looking at that one little slice of Mesquite in 75149. And so now we're kind of getting an idea of what our floor and our ceiling is as far as square footage prices sold, and we're able to kind of guesstimate what we want to look for as far as active listings. So now I've gotten, is everybody with me so far on how we got here onto the actual square footage numbers? So then what I'm going to look to do is we look at our sizes, lots and lots in the 1,200 to 1,800 square foot range. So I'm guessing that that's probably what we'll see quite a bit of. So now I'm going to come over here to, we'll go back live. Oh, so now when I download that report, it'll be the same thing we just looked at. So that you see how the interface works there whenever it kind of flags you whenever it's done. So now I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to come into Matrix. And let me shrink this down just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to look at actives and maybe active, well, let's just look at everything that's active. So, and in 75149, now if I scroll down, I can add the additional fields. Is everybody familiar with how to do that as far as adding the extra fields? And now I'm going to, oh, come on now. That's not cool. Okay, so I don't actually work for Netris, so I can't guarantee that it'll stay online. Let's hope that it does. So let's look at single families. Let's look at 75149. Jeez Louise. And we got 66 there. Let's look at, what was it, $20 to $60 square foot. So now I got 3 matches. So I'm going to come over here to results. Shrink that down a little bit too. Fit it all in. Okay, so we've got, let's look at what we got. 64.5, 79.9, and 56 grand. Who got for 56? Active contingent, multiple offers. Investors are welcomed. We are getting warmer. Active contingent, I'm guessing they probably are trying to finance. And so if we're waiting on, that'd be one we might keep our eye on as far as if the contingency doesn't, if it falls through. That if that is, if you have a cash buyer. Back up one more here. Let's look at 79.9, 17.4. Rehab ready. Bring your toolbox and your DIY ideas. Okay, I think we're onto something here. So what I would do here probably first, just because of the particular way that Netris actually behaves, I would come over to the portal and pull that up in Netris Tax. Just to get all my info in one spot, just because whenever you hit the back button in Matrix, sometimes it just freaks out and absolutely just wipes out everything you've just done. Put that in there. Okay, so we got our year built, 1981, 79.9, and just a quick little it's got a reverse on it right now. Interesting. Oh, here's a quick little cheat sheet. Just to let you know kind of where we're getting warmer and we're kind of on the right track. We've got the AVM and the AVM range as far as the like 128, confidence score of 78. And really all we're doing here is trying to narrow down a live listing to make it, essentially, is it worth going and looking at? Or is it worth, if you're an agent, is it worth actually suggesting to your investor? So now I'm going to take this, copy that, I'm going to back up one. And you can do another thing over here on RPR, so I just jump back to RPR. If I go to the home page, a couple of different things we can do. AVM there is 131. So again, we're kind of, and the AVM in RPR is actually not only the standard automated valuation model, but it actually pulls MLS data as well. So you can have a little bit more, so it's got a range down here of 99 to 162. So now we can kind of see we're on the right track. So now, come back here. Jump back over to Matrix. Now I'm going to go back to a residential search. And I don't want this anymore. I'm actually going to do a map search. And let's say a half mile. And we've got 17 matches. So everybody with me there? How we kind of traced, kind of reverse engineered. So how many actually do this? How many actually scour? Okay, so we've got 1.5, 3. Okay, so we've got a couple. No, I'm unchecking boxes as I go. And you might sometimes check expired just to see what somebody did wrong. And I know a handful of agents that, excuse me, I know a handful of agents that actually make a killing on going back and finding expired. But a lot of people aren't necessarily comfortable with that conversation or that approach. So I got, in my 6-month look back, I've got 4. Let's see what we got for 90 days. Again, let's kind of keep it as close to the vest as possible. So I got 6. We can always bounce out. So what I'm going to do here is look at these on the map. Okay, so we're probably not going to go by the golf course. And what did we have? We had 3 and 2, 1,600 square feet. All right, I like that one. That's another fixer-upper. You know what? I'm going to actually go back. Let's look at 120 days. So there's 3. They're fairly close. That's close too. So now what I'm going to do is now what I did there was I just came down, and if you hit Cloud CMA here, it's going to export all of those into Cloud CMA. Let's call this populate there. So any questions so far on kind of how we've what's that? Oh yeah, you're a licensed realtor? Then no. No, RPR, like I said before, RPR is actually owned by NAR and it's realtor only. So there.
Well, I am, but the way I thought you presented is that anybody could
Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. No. If there was any way that I came across where there was any availability of this to the non-realtor citizen, there is not. So in that situation, it would be more like buddy up with an agent and find an agent that is familiar with the technology. And so that's really what this is about. And like I said, I'm endeavoring to show the nuts and bolts and mechanically what the Deal Finder software does in an instant. And this way, you don't have to pay anything because these are all realtor benefits. So by logging in, and the way you can tell as far as that they're all Netris partners is they're on the single sign-in login page. So essentially, whenever you set up the profile the very first time and log in through the single sign-on, every time that you log in after that, you're automatically logged in to all the programs. And so they're all pulling data from Netris. And so just depending on which program that you're using would be just to determine how you would actually find the data and what it would actually look like. So that's why I was showing here whenever we look at the property, and so there are more than one road goes to Rome as far as getting an idea of comps and getting an idea of what the AVMs are based on. So for example, if I jump back here to RPR, which is an amazing tool, and I also recommend that everybody download the mobile version. The mobile version is phenomenal. Not so much in the world of CMA or doing things of that nature, but from having the GPS located MLS on your phone that is incredibly accurate and useful. But so for example here, if I just wanted to shortcut to the comps that RPR is using for that AVM, all I have to do is click here, and it's going to bounce over and pull. And so you can see here the automated algorithm inside of RPR isn't necessarily going to look at stuff the same way that we would. So it's going to give you a ballpark, and for most things in this world, it is an excellent 5,000-foot view of almost everything. And it's also a fantastic place as a jumping on point for whether it be pricing, whether it be valuation, and again, kind of looking at the confidence rating that it had. The range is kind of in line with everything else we've seen from the two different programs, but their confidence range here is low, meaning that it's not pulling far enough back or doesn't have enough aggregate data from MLS to actually calculate a price that it's more confident with. So if we were looking, let's say, in North Dallas, where the market is white hot and has been for quite a while, there's likely going to be more activity, and the more activity, the higher the star rating is as far as the pricing goes. Does that make sense? As far as just where those numbers come from? And so you might scroll down here and you might get 15 comps. Yes?
You're saying if there's more comps, there's more stars?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And so, and to the converse of that, if we were in somewhere like, I don't know, Butte, Montana or something where there might not be a whole lot of activity at all, you might get 0 stars and just public data. So that's kind of, in the world of RPR, there is the two ends of the spectrum. If there's no activity whatsoever or very limited activity, you'll get a few comps and a low star rating, or you'll get no comps and just whatever public data is available.
I don't understand, Rick, why the RPR had a low confidence score when it found, when you went into MLS, you know, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm looking at comps.
I agree 100%. And so when I talk to the folks from Chicago, it's kind of like the formula to Coca-Cola. They won't tell me what it is. They just say, oh, when you click the button, the algorithm does the thing, and what pops out is what pops out. And so they've never told me exactly how does it determine the comps. Much like if you've ever done the automated quick and dirty in Cloud CMA, it'll pull comps where you look at it and it's like, it'll be on the other side of the highway, it'll be over by the lake, it'll be this crazy kind of conglomeration where you would look at it and say like, okay, well I would never pick those.
Right.
And the same thing here, whereas like we've just looked and there's always the idea of trust but verify. So, and the reason that I'm kind of showing the different tools is they're all good in their own way for certain things, but there is no one size fits all. So I agree 100%. And they've never told me how the algorithm works. And now I can actually go in here and come back and adjust. So I can actually do the same thing that I was doing inside of Cloud CMA. I can do it in RPR. It's just that I like Cloud CMA because I'm plugged directly into Matrix and I'm pulling from the map and it'll export directly, where this is kind of a backwards portal where I will go to the map and yes, it's pulling the MLS data, but I don't necessarily like the interface as much as I do actually working in Netris. And that would be a personal preference. I know there are people that, like my nephew, for example, is an agent in South Lake, and once I showed him RPR, he never looked back. And it's like, I don't know how, if he logs into Netris, it's probably only for uploading contracts and uploading listings rather, and things of that nature. So everybody different tools are going to resonate differently with different people. And one of the things I like to do is, we saw at the beginning how many people weren't even aware that we've already paid for all this stuff. You know, by way of our MLS dues, this is all free. The branding, RPR branding is free. So the broker branding for RPR is free. Cloud CMA will hit you for a fee. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but if you hit them up on Twitter, they'll give you a discount. I do know that. Because I've actually done, yes?
How's that compared to like core logics on the tax.
Well, and you saw, so I looked there first, so Core Logics is going to be its own animal.
Right. What was it though?
RPR, let's see. I think it was 128 was their standard, but it also had a low confidence rating. So actually this one at 128, it had a 78 rating. What they were not confident on was their range. So, the confidence score is 78, so that's a little bit higher. It's actually substantially higher than RPR. Yeah, I would say. Well, I mean, C+. You know, so it just depends on how you feel comfortable with your letter grade. In the range, they're also going to be comparable. And again, you're kind of dealing with two separate algorithms. So Core Logics isn't going to tell us what it's doing. RPR has its own secret formula and their secret sauce that they're not going to. And so that's why I jump back to the Cloud CMA, where I can actually go in and physically pick from the live data in Netris. But here again, I can confirm the facts, and this gives you a little bit more if you want to make changes inside of RPR. If you actually want to make changes on the front end, I'll just say I'll confirm, and then I can review the comps, and after I find them, so it's going to give us a different look, and you can actually drill down on this side over here. And so it's all, again, like I said, it's a personal preference, but it never hurts to know what we actually have access to as far as the different tools go. Any questions on any of this stuff as we're going? But did that, I mean, like I said, on the...
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make sense.
I agree.
You know, that,
and that
you see the comps on Netris, they're pulling Netris data, and yet they didn't use those 13 comps that were within a half-mile radius. I didn't see any of them.
Exactly. And again, I will email the higher pay grades, and usually they'll say, oh, well, that's where that's only as a guideline, or that's only as a kind of to steer you in the right direction, which of course they're just saying like, well, we're not going to tell you how we actually determined that. And now, to that point, let's go back and criteria. We can do down here, I'm going to copy that. Actually, I'm going to cut that. And the same down here. Again, if you just want the sake of quickness, we can do the quick and dirty. Well, we'll do 6 months, but let's just see how crazy this algorithm is too, because that's the thing where, question?
No.
Oh.
I was talking about. I said nice.
Oh.
Very nice.
So while it's pulling there, it's going to give us the breakdown that we're able to choose. Not nearly as granular as we can go in Matrix, which is why I kind of always revert back to that. And so we've got, again, it pulled off the golf course, it pulled way over here. At least they stayed on the side of the highway. But again, no rhyme or reason really to what they're doing. And we've got our high of 202, 169.9. Withdrawals canceled. Again, it kind of runs the gamut. And the idea on this one is, you can run this as a quick and dirty, they even call it the quick and dirty. What it's meant to do is start the conversation. It's meant to be an automated CMA that you would actually send to a client as a quick, when they ask, like if they text something, you would put in an address, do the quick and dirty, fire it off, and then say, hey, I just sent you an automated CMA. In all likelihood, it doesn't have the drill down that I would want to have the conversation with you about. Let me get back to the office, run the real numbers, put together a package for you. Because again, at the end of the day, all of these tools are supposed to, in my mind, kind of enhance the realtor-client relationship. I'm a believer in high tech, high touch. Not where we sit in our ivory tower and just shoot data out to people and be like, hey, holler when you're ready, or let me know what you want to do. I prefer that I'm using the tools in a proactive way where I can actually drill down. I can have something that's quick, like I might send them the price range or the quick range out of RPR or Cloud CMA, but I want to follow that up with a detail. I want to follow that up where I'm going to kind of get into the conversation of where they're at and their philosophy and everything. So now I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to put these guys in here. So now, Oh, it still did the quick and dirty. Okay. So we will jump back over to our list and we will export one more time. So for whatever reason, it was not wanting to, what is not wanting us to uncheck the box. So now we're going to fetch. Oh, for crying out loud. What was that? Golden Grove. Oh, and you can also upload photos in here just as far as if you go out, because there are some of these that are on the as-is end of the spectrum, but they don't even have photos. So one of the things about RPR that's great is it'll have historical data. So there are listings. It's not a blanket statement, so it's not every single listing, but when the data is migrated to the server at RPR, whatever is on the server at that moment, if it might be 4 listings worth of 25 photos each, it's on there forever. They never go back and purge. So you might pull up a listing. I've had it where 3 or 4 listings back, you might have 75 photos, which is, in the investor world, that's a lot of info as far as what has changed over time, what has gotten worse, what has gotten better, what improvements have been made. Again, it's not a universal on every single listing, but more often than not, there's going to be data there to look at. Let's try that again. Actually, let's see. See if there is any historical data here. Not really. Nope, just the current record. So we're out of luck on that one. And again, just one photo. So we got our 4 solds. We got our subject property in purple. Now here is where it's going to pull in all the romance from each one. We can kind of start calculating and do our adjustments if we want. And the same thing applies over on this side, where I can go in and once I look at the adjustments, I can refine. And so there are 2 different ways to actually start making adjustments. And in RPR, one of the great things here is it actually has national averages. And so based on the zip code, it's actually going to pull in, if you did this, it will add X number of dollars. So it's also a good kind of barometer just to get, and I can also, if you want to get one of my cards, I can email you the cost versus value overall as far as for Dallas is concerned. And the best part of that is it actually just has the dollar recoup percentages, not necessarily the exact dollar value for a bathroom or the exact dollar amount for a deck. It has, if you spend X, you can look to get X percentage back as far as actual value. So just, like I said, I can give you one of my cards, but here it's going to have the ability to do a bathroom remodel. And let's say we just did it in 2016, and I don't know, let's say we spent $7,500. It's a fancy bathroom. So it's actually going to start calculating, and if we do year over year or a couple of years later, it'll actually calculate the depreciation. So it'll give you like a dollar value that you can actually work from. And again, trust but verify. You know, in this world, I have no idea what the actual rate for a bathroom improvement would be in Mesquite. And for example, I live at Frankfurt and Voss, and so diagonal from Regency Park and Bent Tree West is just on the other side. And so my townhouse, the national numbers are going to be kind of skewed if I put a 3rd bathroom into my townhouse versus what the average is for that zip code, because there's some high-end homes there. There's old Far North Dallas that are going to be in the $400,000 to $600,000, and you know what they would pay for a bathroom would essentially equate to me adding like another half of a townhouse onto where I live. So this all comes back to the idea of realtor as local expert. And so essentially, normally folks would actually look at the area that they live in and farm and start from there. But the great thing about RPR and by extension Matrix and everything else that we have MLS data with, we can be pretty much anywhere in North Texas and get our hands on the information. So now let's come over here and let's just say we're going to customize this. Now, I have this shrunken down because, just a word of warning, if you create the report just straight up in, like here, if I reset the defaults. Oh yes, and this over here, they want you to buy fancy covers. But here, I just hit reset the defaults. It's a backbreaker of a PDF. So let's see how many pages it comes out. I think it's probably more than 50. And so I always suggest before you email that off to somebody, you want to carve that down because one, the PDF file is going to be gigantic, and depending on their infrastructure on the other end, it might be something that their email doesn't even allow, where it just hits the wall and bounces off. Plus, who wants to get 60 pages worth of stuff when you don't really need it? Now I'm going to view. And one of the great things about Cloud CMA, has anybody ever used it on a tablet in the presentation mode? Okay, I'll show you that here in a second. So in the realm of presenting to a client, I'll show you here in a second. So we got, how many pages did we get? 33. Okay, that's not the end of the world, but I'd much prefer something smaller come in to my mailbox. So I can actually, I'll show you here in a second how to go back and actually chop this up. So we've got our map, and you'll notice that it only gave the averages and the list versus sold. And then it pulls in all of the photos and everything. So now let's just go back. I'm just going to go into the edit mode. And there are too many pages in my estimation. So I don't need the cover letter. I don't need the resume. I certainly don't need the Wikipedia page of what is a CMA. Contact me. I'm going to assume they have my contact info. So may or may not leave the adjustments. We want the comps, not necessarily the suggested seller's net, marketing action plan. So you can see there's a lot of this stuff. Back when my nephew was a brand new agent, I would tell him to read this stuff and kind of internalize it and then use your own words whenever you explain it to somebody. But don't just throw it at somebody like, here's an encyclopedia of what we're doing. Like showings, open house checklist, client testimonials, blah, 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 blah. So there, we're going to chop that down. Now let's look at that. "19 pages. And the reason we got a lot of pages there is because I still included all the photos. So that kind of, I always say play to your audience. So if you have, y'all familiar with the DISC profile? The personality profiling. So if you have a numbers nerd, like an engineer or somebody or an accountant or something like that, you wouldn't necessarily need to show them all the photos or send them all the photos. But on the flip side, if you have somebody that is on the other side of the DISC profile, well then they're going to want the romance, they're going to want the photos, they're going to want everything to see like, this is what it will look like once I'm done. This is what it'll look like when I bring it up to the specs of the built outs in the neighborhood. So I can always come back here, chop that down again. But what I wanted to show you is if I go in, the last thing I'll show you here is in the presentation mode. So if I'm sitting across from the client and I don't necessarily, I haven't made up my mind if I want to actually give them all the legwork that I've done, if I want to give them all the data that I have, if this will pop up, it will port that PDF into a slideshow presentation that you can actually look at on an iPad. Like so. And if you see down here in the corner, it's optimized for an iPad. This is a Surface, so it's not perfect. Oh, excellent. So let's pass. We've got the sign-out sheet ready to rock. Do we have a clipboard anywhere? Oh, fantastic. Okay, so we're going to start that around. But if I look down here in the corner, it's going to give us everything where you can actually give this over to a client sitting at a table. And if they want to look at the photos, you can go through and you can kind of show them the comps, give the averages. And so it turns what is kind of a stale PDF into a little bit of an interactive situation. And again, in the world of the FSBO, or in the world where you don't necessarily want to hand over all of your information or give all of your data the very first conversation, you can actually take this and present the information, but then when you take the tablet back, the information goes with you. So it's, again, I'm a big fan of Realtor as local expert or Realtor as expert, and sort of the arbiter of the data. And then that way, you're not doing the work for somebody else. How many we got? We're good? We're covered? Question? Oh, so we've got it. Okay, perfect. So that does it. We're right at like a minute and a half, which will get us time to get signed out. We do have advanced classes on this. There's not, I know it's like a lot of information and kind of taking a sip out of the fire hose, but I really, my biggest thing is to kind of illustrate the tools that we already have. So there is the awareness factor with, like I said, the best part of all this is we've already paid for it. And then the other illustration that I was doing is the MLS Deal Finder software. So if I come back over here and if I log into our little homepage, since now that we're done, and so you saw what it took me about 49 and a half minutes to find the one property. Well, now if I log into my little MLS Deal Finder profile over here, and I just want to do Mesquite, more than a 20% discount under market value, it's going to give me all of my deals in Mesquite, and then let's just sort it by the discount percentage. And well, look at that. It came up number 3, and it took, that was a lot faster than what I did in Matrix. So that was really, I wanted everybody to kind of have the tool set and know that we have the Realtor tools that are there in MLS and on that dashboard, that we can actually do all this stuff from scratch. However, as you can tell, it's rather time consuming, and the idea behind what we're doing with Deal Finder is cut to the chase. And the ease with which that happened within, I don't know, less than 10 seconds, it pretty much puts out the pasture what it took me an hour to do. Questions?
How do I know that it's a good deal? I know that it's, you put in Mesquite, right?
Yes.
So how do we know that that has equity?
Okay, well then we're gonna, again, what I would say here is that actually does the vast majority of all that legwork that I did up front, where I went into RPR and I did the analytics. I can always do that again, or I can do that where, okay, well now I have a shortcut to where I can look and let's say how many are on this, just out of the.
So the good, yeah. So the good deal. Let me show to you.
So just right there, there's 10 that come up right away. And I could essentially do the legwork on that in probably about 15 to 20 minutes on all 10 of those, given what I just did an hour just to find that first property.
So what Robbie asked, he asked, how do I know that it's a good deal? Okay? So I know that it's a good deal because you see the estimated gross discount over here. Estimated gross discount. This is the discount that I know because the computer knows what the difference between the estimated price. You see the estimated price 144,000.
And the one that we just looked at. So the core logic had
The one in Golden Grove, the CMA, the MLS Deal Finder,
Yes.
is saying that you think it's worth $136,173.
correct. And core logics had it at 128, and RPR had the range in there. It had it at 131.
That's cool.
So how did you come up with the 136?
So the valuation, may I help you or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple minutes before we got to kill it.
So basically what the Deal Finder did is he come up with an automated valuation, right? And it does automated valuations on thousands of properties, so that's the great advantage. And that's the reason he's finding discounted properties for you. So here, Rory, let me show you. In this property, estimated price is 136,000, okay? So the question is how I come up with that number,
Right.
right? So if I click on the address, it's going to show me the CMA of what the computer what the computer did for us.
So what it did, it found it did the CMA, the automated CMA, and now we can do work on top of that automated CMA. So that's the reason it's saving us time. So basically on the CMA, if you see here, this is the subject property here. Oh, how do I mouse? Oh, here? Oh, cool. Got it. So here is my subject property. Here, this is my subject property, correct? Again, here is my subject property. And then here are all my comparables. So you see here, it has 10 comparables from 1, here over there, 1 to 10, correct? And it organized the data for me. Go ahead, question? Oh, okay. So, and the computer selected these 4 columns. You see here to this right, to the left, the computer selected number 2, number 3, number 5, and number 6. And that's the reason it come up with the evaluation. Is that cool? But now you as a user, you can change the evaluation on MLS Deal Finder using the computer. You don't have to go back to metrics and do your CMA because it's going to take you another 20 minutes, wasting time. All these deals that we're doing CMAs, if we don't move really quick, we are going to lose the deal, correct? Speed gets you the key, correct? So what this system allows you, Rory, is to come up with evaluation and really quick, making your own. So for example, if you decide that you like this number 1, correct? And you decide that you don't like this number 5, look at what happened. I click on recalculate CMA, and the evaluation just changed to 139,000. That's the way that I make my own valuation. So that's the way that the system helps you doing the fast valuations.
So if I wanted to put in my own property that would evaluate.
Yes. If you want to put your own property, you just click here on Fast CMA. Very good. You are not that short. So here, if you want to do your own CMA for any property, you just put your information here. And then here, you put your recency, number of days that you want to find your comps, your distance. So you want shorter distance, you just click here. Your square foot range, your year percentage range, and then you count, and the system says, hey, it found sold 2 comps, active 1 comp, non-active 0, and list 3 comps. So you can change it really quick, and you say, hey, I want more distance, you count, and look, you found 6 comps. Is that cool? And then after you know how many comps you have in there, you just run the CMA, and the computer is going to do the CMA for you. It's doing it right now. You see here, boom. You know what is the worst nightmare? You know what is the worst nightmare of an agent? An investor asking us to do a CMA. Isn't it? Because we are wasting our time, because we don't know if that offer is going to get accepted. Now, me as an investor or as an agent, I can get it done, and the computer get it done for me, and then I can improve on what the computer did. That's the reason, instead of 20 minutes or 30 minutes to do a CMA, I can do it in a couple of minutes. Is that cool? So guys, you should have a page, this page here with you, okay? And as you see here, you have unlimited CMAs. We are selling it for $39. Fast CMA is actually $79. And you see here, MLS Deal Finder, you have 2 options, one for $39 and one for $99. $99 gets you the whole MLS, 20,000 valuations at your fingertips. So please fill it out. Let us know what you need. We will be on the table out there where you have the big MLS Deal Finder if you have any questions for us, and we can do private demos for you. So just please fill it out this page, and we'll be here for you.